Okay, Paul, you ready to talk about Holmes and Watson?
Yes.
Great. Hello and welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that can swear too. Balls. See? Oh, guess it's not funny unless you're in a period costume. I'm Paul Balls.
I've got no idea whatsoever.
Today we shall be deducing Holmes and Watson.
A murder in Buckingham Palace.
Solve this case in 4 days or I will kill the Queen. Signed, Professor James Moriarty.
Come, Watson, we have a killer to catch.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Written and directed by Ethan Cohen. I want to pronounce it. He spells his name differently than Ethan Cohen. I want to emphasize that more.
Too similar.
Ethan Cohen. You're using an alarmingly large number of the letters that comprise the name of one of the best directors who ever lived. I'm going to need you to give up at least 5 of those.
You're no James. You're Jimmy.
It's Ihar Kohi, the director of Will Pharrell vehicle and future OGT episode Get Hard.
Great.
Yeah, you're into that. Produced by Adam McKay, presumably as a favour to Will Ferrell before they ended their partnership shortly after the release of this film, actually. We'll think of it as just the shitty chrysalis that Adam McKay had to escape before he could get out and make The Big Short and Vice.
Well,
the shitty Pharrellosis.
He thought, if I do this with Will Ferrell, he'll come back and do a funny little skit in one of my good films. Explaining something dense.
He'll play Barack Obama and it won't be offensive at all.
He'll play a ratified amendment to something. Hey, I'm the physical embodiment of a ratified amendment. Me, Will Ferrell. Let me explain
He'll come
how
on
this
to his
works.
next political thing and
Yeah.
explain how an amendment gets repealed in a bathtub. It'll be brilliant. Everyone will love it.
Get Hard? I am already.
Have you seen that, Buff? The film saw some action in 2008 when Sacha Baron Cohen and Judd Apatow were involved. Then there's this completely unexplained 10-year gap in its production. And then after that 10-year gap, it just kind of happened. There wasn't a barrier to overcome or a falling out or a legal issue. People just stopped giving a fuck for a cool decade. And then it farted out.
I imagine the obstacles were not so much the things coming from inside their film as other films happening outside of theirs, such as Sherlock Holmes.
And a collective ill will of an entire movie-going public and industry. And we, like the Care Bears, we all joined hands. And little rays of beauty shone from our hearts. Christopher Nolan turned into a butterfly and transformed the whole world. But the Holmes and Watson movie got pushed back. But now thanks to Trump and Brexit, the power was too weak and something escaped from the fucking prison.
It is definitely that. I'm 100% on that. We could also play...
It's in the IMDb trivia.
We could also just play the Price is Right music and list all the other good Sherlock Holmes vehicles that came out during that 10-year period.
During that brief 10-year period. I mean, there were at least 3. Yeah. So...
Even, Elementary was better than this, I imagine.
Probably. So. Romeo and Juliet?
I'll say 4.
Sherlock Gnomes?
I'm not going to include that.
Come on, man. Let's not take the piss. Let alone did you see the trailer. Did you hear the title I just said when I said it? Sherlock Gnomes. Yeah, you're right. There are some lines... There's some lines you just shouldn't cross. Now, Wikipedia
like that line that I draw
says...
in the bathroom when we live together.
I hated that line. It kept me in there. Wikipedia says Holmes and Watson was not screened in advance for critics, who subsequently panned the film. I'm not liking the implied causality there. In fact, the reverse is fucking true. The film was not screened in advance for critics because fucking look at it.
Yeah.
You know why? Because news travels fast. And if even one film critic had seen this film before its release, they'd have done something. Surely. They'd have been deputized by their responsibility to the world.
Mark Kermode would have been given full command of the critics of the world, and he'd have deployed forces.
Even Peter Travers, sat in his cinema seat, would have suddenly gotten up to his feet. His children's book of puns would have fallen off his lap, and he'd have known that he had a destiny to fulfill.
I thought you were going to say children's size feet. wobbling uncertainly on his tiny feet. It's because he needs such a big head to fill up all the puns.
to write reviews like Peter Travers at the Rolling Stone, you need the heart of a child and the feet of a child.
The inability to get up from your desk.
I'm not going to put up with these outrageous allegations. What a dick. He's not even out the room. Leave him a minute.
Oh, Christ.
Alejandro G. Galvo over at Sensasini.
Awesome.
Says Holmes and Watson is idiotic, but not enough to alienate everyone. Bit of a mixed review there.
Not everyone, not to alienate idiots.
Some idiots are not going to be completely alienated by this.
Idiocy.
God, it's really going to galvanise everyone. We need something less divisive. We need something so idiotic it will alienate literally everyone. Thank God for Peter Travers at the Rolling Stone. His tiny feet. He's going to save this country. Peter Gray, This Is Film, says, this is pointless, ridiculous. It sounds like he's reviewing our episode now.
I thought that was maybe you breaking character. I can't do this anymore, Paul. Not now, not with Holmes and Watson.
Hang on a minute.
Now we've done Peter Travers' tiny feet. What would you do?
Oh, God.
Listeners at home. Mark Kermode likes to go over to Peter Travers when he's sitting on his seat and his legs are swinging and just put his hand up against the sole of his shoe and go, huh, still not as big. Thought so.
Kermode's a bully. He's got the biggest feet in the industry. Mark Kermode. Has anyone else really thought about the merits of grease? Whoops, sorry, madam. He kicked a woman in the front row. Again. Ugh. He practically killed Pauline Kael. Peter Gray.
Go on.
Peter Gray, the depressing alternative to Peter K. Hi up, I'm Peter Gray. Do you ever notice how big your sofa looks when you're the only one on it?
Comedy for the masses.
I have noticed that. Peter Gray.
Please bring Peter K back. Garlic bread.
Actually, he's the one who killed himself.
The clown.
Dark horse.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live forever. Peter Gray at This Is Film said, this is pointless, ridiculous, insulting material that shouldn't even be viewed as a hate watch. I like a good hate watch. Oh, you know, you're still a little bit angry with it, but it's there.
Yeah.
Waggling its reels.
It's tasty reels.
You both get to have a bit of a hate watch.
I save time. I just go straight to the bathroom mirror. Oh. Ow.
As Paul recovers from that. The film has 11% on Rotten Tomatoes and 24% on Metacritic. But
Should be lucky with that.
They should be happy with it, the little piece of shit. Yeah. It's a quarter. That's a quarter of all the approval that there is.
If I got a quarter of all approval, I wouldn't be wearing any clothes right now.
Wouldn't need them. The approval would keep me warm. The public, on the other hand, hated it as well.
Oh.
It didn't even break even at the box office, and it has 3.7 on IMDb. The top 4 pieces of IMDb trivia all allude to it being awful. That's trivia!
Oh, it's like the latest Game of Thrones episode trivia.
Interesting fact, this is bullshit. Not my Melisande. Mr. MJ Last over at Amazon said, I really enjoyed the last moment of me falling off the chair. I really enjoyed the first 30 mins-ish. The piss take of the English language was particularly funny, I thought. It's an amazing subversion in which they take out all interest from the English language, thereby heightening just how pointless it really is. But at about the 45-minute mark, I had seen enough. The jokes fell flat. There's a 15-minute window there. 30 minutes of enjoyment, 45 minutes he'd seen enough. So there was just a 15-minute period of grey.
They also started insulting Americans in that 15 minutes.
Oh, shit!
So I can see why that would get a bit too personal, a bit too close to home. Is he American?
You're in trouble.
If not, he should be.
He should be, Mr. MJ Last. MJ stands for Murica Jones.
Murica jokes last.
Murica Jones.
No America jokes. Keep them at the very end of the film.
So I can leave first.
Where it's too late to spoil it for me. America Jones.
MR Camp. Oh, another M thing. That's meaningless. MR Camp at Amazon says, I wish I could give it 0 stars and Amazon refund me. Crazy pie dreams.
Yeah.
We switched off after 30 minutes. Huh, as this is utter rubbish.
Oh.
Curious. Oh well. Amy at Amazon says, oh, absolutely awful film. Starts with O. Oh, let me tell you. Sit down.
Put a coin in her. Oh, absolutely awful. I tell thee.
Don't get me started. Oh. Worst film I have seen this year, by far. Normally these pair crack me up, but I managed no more than 30 minutes before switching anything else on. What the fuck happens 30 minutes into this film?
Also, what does she switch on? Kettle, microwave.
Literally anything. Bosnian war crimes. Hang on a minute. Let me just start the movie Holmes and Watson. Ah! Sorry. Every time. Skip to 30 minutes. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Here we go. 30 minutes. It's the autopsy scene. That's what got him.
That was too much.
That's when the whole thing became just a bit too meta, you see. People are very aware of that sort of thin veneer of artifice that separates the real from the super real.
The membranous fourth wall.
Also, it was gross.
There was romantic interest.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't watch our films for romance. We wanted the selfie joke.
I didn't come here for romance. I come here to show kids good film about cock. The film won 5 of the 7 Golden Raspberries it was nominated for, including Worst Picture and Worst Director. What a bunch of shit. It lost Worst Actor to Donald Trump, because politics. I see. And it lost Worst Screen Combo to Donald Trump and his self-perpetuating pettiness.
Oh, that's all very mature and sophisticated. I applaud them for
well
this.
Done.
Doing excellent work for the left there.
We get it, Rotten Tomatoes.
Or Razzies, whichever.
Here's the problem. Oh, fuck, I don't know. But because they couldn't figure out a way to give Trump the Worst Supporting Actor, it means that John C. Reilly got a Razzie for this, whilst Pharrell didn't. And that is just fucking incorrect.
Also Pharrell?
Oh, what's his name?
I always thought it was Ferrell, but it could be Pharrell.
Yeah, Pharrell. I've written it as Pharrell throughout this document, and I am going to keep calling him that, so...
It just makes me think of NERD. Pharrell Williams.
Oh, I just thought about Colin Farrell.
Oh, so there's so much depth here.
I know.
I could have used all this for Holmes and Watson. Starring Will Pharrell Williams.
Will Pharrell?
This is all way more interesting than talking about the film. It's been 40 minutes so far.
There's
we're doing
2
well.
more segments keeping us from it. I'm holding on to them.
Oh, thank Christ.
Like the cakes that you get to eat before you have to dive into the sewer.
I love those cakes.
Very weird Christmas traditions at my house. Just the one Threeman, though, surprisingly.
Oh.
Michael Culkin, who plays the judge in the film's opening scene.
Oh.
He has appeared in 2 other OGT films, and I would like for you to guess them for me.
Lesbian vampire killers.
Please. I will give you some clues.
Are they British films?
Kinda. Both have American money. He only shows up for the bucks, that guy. And the butts. So in which film did he play Lord Radley, whose wife and daughter were seduced by the same man at a ball?
Mordecai.
No.
Oh. Trying to think of what shithouse films that we've seen that have balls in them. Balls are too fancy for bad films.
Yeah, I know. It's a very prominent ball, though, and this is a film that has pretensions to fanciness. It was early. Super early.
Was it now?
Uh-huh. It was a recommendation. The first by a returning recommender.
Jesus. I'd like to put that on the back burner for now. Let's move on to the other one, and we'll come back.
Okay.
I think
interesting.
I feel better.
In the other one, he plays Sir Graham, in which he receives genital torture care of some Russian gangsters.
Oh, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice Extended Edition.
That's the one!
Nice one, Mordecai.
Yeah, that one's Mordecai.
Yay! Okay, well, that's that at least. Okay. Well, back to the other one then.
He's got a very Mordecai-like face about him.
I did spend about a minute going, is that Stephen Fry? No, it's absolutely not Stephen Fry. Even I know that, an idiot.
The thing about this film is, it's fabulously bland. I remember our episode about it, but I remember almost nothing about the actual film.
Oh, God. Lord Radley.
Single bloke. Sleeps with his wife and his daughter. He's with the daughter, and the wife comes in. And the daughter has to hide, and then he bonks the wife.
Oh,
Daughter's...
piss. Oh, God. This is coming from a real dark recess of the mind. Where did I bury this? Where did I bury this?
No, that's that bloke we killed. Move off that.
Oh, biscuits. What is it? I just can't get Alone in the Dark out of my head. That's the problem.
Get it? It's same era. Possibly within 5 episodes.
Oh, Dorian Gray.
Yeah, it is. It was Dorian, the lad Gray.
Dorian Ladsmag.
Dorian, hey, Gray.
We're Gray. Welcome to the Threeman, sir.
Get in the bin, you problematic man.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo. Films are shit, mate.
Time for Oh, What a Lovely Score. hello there to Mark Mothersbaugh, the former Devo frontman who invented the soundtrack to every indie movie ever through his work with Wes Anderson. And lately, he's worked with greats like Taika Waititi and The Lord and Miller. The Lord and Miller.
The
Jesus
Lord.
Christ, reincarnate. And Christopher Miller. They made 21 Jump Street. But Mark Mothersbaugh also wrote this.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I know, that was a really surprising aspect of this research.
That should have been the first thing that you said.
Oh, the Rugrats guys fucked it.
Oh, he had a pretty good run.
Yeah, not a bad run of that song. So Paul, you anachronistic knob gag.
Oh!
What's one thing about this film that made it better than a bout of stomach influenza?
Oh, well, Steve Coogan's in this, and he's doing good accent and face.
He's got eyebrows. I noticed that.
And he knows how to use them.
He knows how to use them. He's not allowed to wear them on the street. It's too distracting. He has to put them in a special eyebrow case.
But he doesn't know. He says he does. But then he puts them on when he thinks no one's around.
He's fucking maverick.
He's wearing nothing but the eyebrows.
And when the cops show up and they're like, hang on a minute, you're that Steve Coogan bloke. Where's your eyebrow holster? He's like, what, hey, with his eyebrows. And they're like, oh, he's cut us in two.
Oh, he's like a whole new character, just like that.
What, you, wait. Shit! That eyebrow work. We're gonna need backup. Coogan's out of his lashes.
Yeah, look, Steve Coogan was probably my favourite performance in this.
Yeah,
and
probably.
he was in it for 3 seconds, so that was good.
Good 3 seconds. Alright, Paul, that sounds like Steve Coogan.
He's in Stan and Ollie.
God, he wasn't Stan and Ollie.
Oh.
What happens in Holmes and Miller? Or whatever it's called.
Stick with me, it's very complicated.
I don't care.
There's a court case, and...
Well, actually, before that, we should remark, oh yay, another Sony Pictures picture. Well done, guys.
Oh, good.
Doing well.
I can't wait for that aesthetic. Get my lips around that look. Get my lips around that look.
It's okay, we've made Spider-Verse.
Get my lips around that, comma, look.
We've reinvented a whole genre this year. We can just lie on our laurels. Our Laurels and Hardy? No!
It's not that film.
It's not
a different
that film.
one.
It's a worse film.
About the past. It's a worse film about the stinky past.
Oh, fuck.
And look, it begins with a story, their origin story, basically, doesn't it?
Well, no, it begins with a quote. It begins with a quote, which then gets attributed to Hannah Montana, and the Hannah Montana credit appears with a little ting, which immediately just tells me everything I needed to know about this fucking thing.
Wink.
Guys, the joke is here. You see, Hannah Montana didn't write a famous literary work. She's a famous no one. So that's why it's a joke. Because we don't like Hannah Montana, and nor should you, apparently.
No, it's really setting us well up for this. Brilliant.
Now, which backstory did you get?
Well, I had the one where Will Ferrell, playing Sherlock Holmes, he's got a massive marrow, and he's tending to it.
Yeah, I
It's
got
great.
that one.
He's being all sexy with the marrow. And John C. Reilly, playing Watson, is on the top of a building. He's going to kill himself. And he goes, and the first day I met Sherlock Holmes, he brought me down and he saved my life. And Sherlock Holmes keeps going, no, don't jump on the marrow. Jump over here. I'm running out of patience, etc., etc.
There are many other ways you could kill yourself.
We had instant connection. This man cares about me.
A little cup of poison. Dead.
He gave me a reason to live.
We'll go and have a drink. I will get my gun and fill your heart full of bullets.
It's a misunderstanding, first of many, and I assure you, it's the first of many.
He ends up mistaking these acts as a friendly gesture, and he befriends him, and they end up friends. We then cut forward to presumably sometime after the various Holmes and Watson adventures have occurred.
Yeah. All of the good ones.
All of the good ones that you might have read about, presumably with hilarious twists, probably involving sex puns in the title.
Yeah, probably.
The pussy hound of the Baskervilles, perhaps.
Yeah.
The scarlet cock jetter.
Genital wart.
The scarlet genital wart, yeah.
Yeah.
That could have been it. Sign of 4... cum guzzling sluts, it writes itself, really.
Backdoor bitches.
That was one of Arthur Conan Doyle's, which, as we all know, was that's the pun they've made. The original is, of course, front room bitches.
Yeah,
which is what the Victorian phrase was.
Well, yeah, which is where they take tea and also take it up the butt.
Well, the gentlemen are retiring to talk about the war. Front room bitches. Oh yes, marvelous.
We're better than this film. So it begins after that in the modern olden days, and it's a court case for James Moriarty, supreme arch nemesis of Sherlock Holmes.
Played by Ray Fiennes' Beard.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes is in this, as advertised.
And with his beard.
Watch out for more of him in this film. He, like advertised in the trailer, in the main thing in the trailer.
I didn't watch that, Jesus. So yes, he's under trial for some horrible crimes that he's done. And there's only one witness who's going to be able to put him away for forever. Yeah. And that's Sherlock Holmes, who is hilariously occupied at home trying to figure out what outfit to wear to court. Yeah. He has many to choose from.
For this occasion, I have selected a new hat. From now on, when people utter the name Sherlock Holmes, they will picture this. Not to worry.
Hey there, cowboy. That's the one. Bang. That's the one. We should leave, yes? Oh, aye. I say, I like that one very much.
And Watson keeps going, you look lovely, of course, I do love you. That was subtext in the other ones, but we're just going to be upfront about this.
But it's funny, that subtext was funny.
Yeah, and do you remember how that was funny in the other films? Look, do you remember that really great Hans Zimmer track from the original Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
Well, it's here, but with a different note.
Oh, it's a good thing we got Mark Mothersbaugh for that. It's a good thing we got one of the best fucking musicians of our time to do a Hans Zimmer impression.
Well, yeah, I agree. They aspire to the courtroom eventually after a sad appearance from Kelly MacDonald.
Oh.
Me? Just a housekeeper for the Glasgow slums. The likes of me telling the likes of you what to put on his noggin.
There are some sound effects that accompany some hand gestures, which is all very good.
Oh,
it makes you know that a funny thing has happened. There's a bit with a Dutch jig, which has actual Dutch jig music, which makes it funnier.
Paul, is this still the first scene?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
You know, killer bees, and a guy shooting at killer bees.
Is the mosquito in this scene?
Yes.
It's a callback. Do you remember how Robert Downey Jr. does the deductive reasoning?
In
the Guy Ritchie film.
Angle of approach. Compensate for warp and floor. Count for resistance due to dust motes. Probable outcome. Termination of mosquito. Integrity of bee habitat maintained. Deadly bee swarm averted.
And they're like, we all understand that this is a really cool, inventive way of communicating how Sherlock Holmes' mind works.
Yeah.
And we're just going to just do that.
Is it overblown? Are we doing a comedic thing? I don't know. It's like South Park. If we just do it, people can figure out if we like it or not later. So that all happens. There's a terrible sound of some man screaming throughout the entire film, actually. I don't know what that was all about. Very odd decision of the director.
Weird echo?
Yeah. There's a sort of weird sinking sensation and a weird bloodied pain in my fists. I don't know why the director put all that in there.
I had that, but I also found, I don't know if you got this, but if I peered extra hard at the TV screen, I could see a ghost ripping at his own face and screaming whenever there was a bit of darkness on screen. It's a horrible, pale face just
Yeah, it was strange. I mean,
looking back at me.
Yeah.
Like it was speaking
dull
to me.
pain around the groin area. Yeah, it was very strange.
Yeah.
But anyway, they eventually do get to court, and Sherlock Holmes deduces that Moriarty couldn't possibly have been arrested because he's too brilliant. So this is clearly a decoy.
Yes.
And that the real Moriarty has fled to America. So they should let him go.
Yeah.
And Rob Brydon, who
Yeah.
really, I mean, at this stage, it's just needing paychecks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So they go out into the next scene, and it's Holmes's birthday, and he's invited to a secret party at the Queen's house, which I should say is Buckingham Palace and not the Queen's house in Greenwich, even though it's filmed in Greenwich.
That's confusing.
There's a dead body in his cake, and after John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell stab and hack at it with various weapons, mistaking blood for jam, and insulting Rob Brydon some more.
Yes, he deserves it. The slut.
He is literally following Steve Coogan at this point.
He really is.
You can see him in many scenes in Stan and Ollie, and just with his butt out.
It's getting to be a problem for everyone involved, not least Rob Brydon's family. In any case, they decide to autopsy the body.
Yeah.
There's a lengthy conversation about throwing up, which I really appreciated, feeling quite sick watching this. That really hit me on the tickle knob.
Well, that's audience surrogacy.
Sure is. I was right there with them in that room.
Yeah.
And the vomit was right here in mine.
And then Rebecca Hall walks into this steaming room of vomit.
Oh, fuck. Yes, and perhaps her accent is revenge for the fucking accent that Steve Pharrell is perpetrating upon us.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I prove the higher the voltage, the more demons are released.
Well, of course.
Some of my patients live as long as a week.
Well, she's a doctor, and it's funny because it's the 1800s, and you didn't really get female doctors.
But it's like Borat. They're raising attention to the prejudice.
Yeah, and they do it many times as well, and that's
Yeah.
how you do that joke.
Repetition is comedy, and comedy is repetition.
Yeah.
The scene of
What
them
was that,
cleaning
Paul?
cake off of... I said dusty old minges.
Oh.
The scene of them cleaning cake off of a corpse does wonders for my cold. Sloppy slop slop slop.
They go in, they have a bit of a Rebecca Hall and John Watson, which is their character names in this film. They go in and have a ghost over the autopsy, basically. They listen to some modern music from the Pops, and they have a bit of a ghost on, and they fall in love, I think. And outside...
Robert Downey Jr.'s character falls in love with a cat lady.
Yes.
Rebecca Hall sleeps with Mark Twain.
Kelly MacDonald.
That her too.
But Rebecca Hall did it first, and that's where they got the idea.
And better.
Because comedy is life, and life is art, and art is life, and art is comedy, and we are art.
They go drinking and end up in a boxing ring.
Which is where Steve Coogan is.
Yes, with his eyebrows.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah. Because he tattooed
One,
the dead's body.
And then the other.
Both, actually, yeah. You're right. Sorry, I wasn't
all three.
specific.
Please be specific, Paul. I can't keep up with this film. There's a boxing fight, and then there isn't a boxing fight. Then they're all on the Titanic. I don't care. I don't fucking care.
There are 3 or so very, very good jokes about Donald Trump.
Oh.
In America, we have democracy. Our president is a person our people have all chosen. An assurance that only the finest and most qualified man will lead, not a wealthy tyrant who cares for nothing but himself.
But you have the Electoral College, which surely will prevent some trumped-up charlatan from gaining power.
Not always, unfortunately.
It would be great to have a strong businessman.
But a showman as well. I love a good show.
America. We gave you your freedom, and now look what you've done with it.
Which, again, I must stress are doing very good work for the left.
Thank God. This'll beat him.
Thank God somebody's finally taking a stand.
The Trump joke involves them actually changing positions from how the conversation started. Doesn't matter if it makes sense. It's just got to be topical.
Hey, it's like Saturday Night Live, Paul. You remember how you loved that show?
I do. Because the fist told me I did. As long as I agree with the fist, everything's okay. Kelly MacDonald was the criminal. She tries to blow up the Titanic. John C. Reilly stops her.
Yeah.
After a stint in prison. And then it's all okay.
Yeah.
And the Titanic goes off, and they track Moriarty down to a Western tavern.
Remember, he was in the film. Sequel.
There's 7 minutes more of screaming, and then it just kind of goes quiet. Everything goes very, very quiet.
Lights were turning on and off in my flat, and a hand came through the darkness, and the next thing I knew, I was in bed.
I never found bed. I found the bottle.
Oh.
This was shit. What a fucking awful film.
I was not ready for this.
Quite like Will Ferrell. I don't mind him. I don't think I've seen many of his films, but I really like Elf. He's good in Elf.
I love Anchorman. I love him in...
Anchorman's pretty good. I like that.
I love him in Zoolander.
I'm trying to look for a film in his filmography that would represent the last time he was in something that was well liked. The Lego Movie? I think that might be
a very small part in the Lego Movie.
I can't find anything else.
You've got Anchorman, Zoolander, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Nothing this
really
decade.
Blades of Glory, which was
2007.
It's been a while.
Yep.
But he's definitely done good stuff. He was also in Everything Must Go and Stranger Than Fiction, which are great, more serious roles. And I did kind of hope that he was going to be going that way. And I do find that comics lend themselves quite well to the sad and the more melancholic roles.
God almighty. For the last 15 years, the sort of forefront of American comedy has been headed by Will Ferrell, Owen Wilson, Vince Vaughn. It's not been a golden age.
Has Owen Wilson been doing much comedy recently?
Oh yeah, man, he does a lot of shit that flies under our radar. How about The Internship?
I just burped. I think that's pretty much that.
How about Hall Pass?
Oh god. This was really shit. It was
Yes.
It was unbelievably, indescribably painful and shit.
Yes.
There's no plot whatsoever. The plot, it could have been solved in 3 minutes. It's just filled with that same old improv bullshit that has no direction at all.
Well, I think the humour can be broken down in 5 ways. First of all, anachronisms. That's references to the future, like the selfie stick.
Yeah.
But who's going to take the photograph?
Oh, no, I'll take the photograph. You see, it's a type of a self-photograph. I can take it, and I will be in it also.
You know what? I find to take the most attractive photographs, you need to purse your lips together like a duck-billed platypus.
Platypus face, chins up. Hey!
Hey! Hey, girl!
or the fucking drunk telegrams.
Yeah.
Grace?
Stop.
Are you awake? Stop. Are you quite sure this is a good idea?
This is wonderful. The combination of the late hour and your drunkenness allows for communication of exceptional honesty.
Which is a good idea, but after a couple of
concept.
seconds of it, I realised that there just wasn't the skill to keep it going, or the
There wasn't
direction,
the
or
humour.
anything.
Yeah, so there's that, but also the idea of stoner humour placed in Victorian England. That's the Your Highness effect.
Yeah.
That's the anachronisms. Then you have the idea of iconic characters acting out of character, namely the idea that what if Sherlock Holmes was a buffoon?
Yeah.
And I think, actually, Simon Munnery did a really good stand-up of this, the idea that he was just a chancer who was making everything up.
The first two cases were a fluke. After that, I coasted on my laurel. It began simply enough as at a party, one of those parties common enough at the time where someone gets murdered in an upstairs room and there's much rumpus and kerfuffle. I was banged up to the monkey nuts at the time, of course, and mashed on squinty puff as was my habit. And on a whim, I stuck out my arm and, pointing without looking, bellowed in melodious tones the phrase, "It was him what done it." To my surprise, when I opened my eyes, the man I'd accidentally been pointing at had crumpled to the floor and begun a long and blabbering confession, the end of which a lull descended, and suddenly someone asked me in a hushed voice how I had done it. Of course, I was tempted to claim some sort of divine power or magical ability, but noting the change in fashion, plumped for science.
There's definite mileage there in the idea that Sherlock Holmes actually just, got lucky and was an asshole. But they can't seem to make up its mind whether or not he is actually an asshole who just gets lucky, or if he really is a genius.
Yeah, no, he never did anything wrong.
Yeah.
He never made any wrong decisions. He was always right. So it wasn't very constant.
He does turn out to be right about Moriarty, so...
Yeah. He's 100% right. The only thing he doesn't get is that Kelly MacDonald is Moriarty's daughter.
Yeah.
Which is the twist of the movie.
It's not a funny character, and I found the accent really insufferable.
Oh, these ridiculous voices that they're doing. Isn't this funny? It's not, actually.
Number 3 is vulgarity and slapstick. Not much slapstick.
Not much vulgarity. And the slapstick was weak.
No, stuff like cleaning the cake off of a corpse and throwing up and stuffing the Queen's body into a, That happened in a scene, by the way. The Queen passed out and they stuffed her into a fucking... It was awful. It was really bad. Just imagine Richie and Eddie if they had no humour or ability whatsoever.
And not an intelligent director around it. I felt like most of those shots, all the physical humour felt obscured by shitty directing.
Yeah.
What little it was,
Number 4, spoofing Guy Ritchie. Fucking timely.
Yeah.
Making fun of the plot beats of a film that kind of got ignored when it came out because everyone decided they preferred the BBC Sherlock. I feel like there weren't too many waves that came off of Sherlock. It's not like everyone copied that style like The Matrix.
Yeah.
It kind of just happened. I quite like them, but in terms of cultural impact, I'd be very surprised if anyone who wasn't of a certain age when they came out even remember them.
There are reasons for parodying things, right?
Sure.
What are you parodying by bringing up the Guy Ritchie Sherlock movies? You're using a very, very good piece of music by Hans Zimmer and beats from very good, enjoyable movies. I don't know. They weren't saying anything about it. They weren't saying anything about Sherlock. They weren't saying anything about previous adaptations.
I don't know. I don't.
It was just an excuse to fuck around.
I think you can just use it as a sort of tone, because nobody remembers the film The Airplane is a spoof of. We've gone over that before, and it's you can spoof really great movies. It's just this isn't funny at all. It's not that they don't do anything funny with it, and I feel like you could maybe do something funny with the whole idea of breaking down the style of a character sort of mentally preparing what they're about to do, before they do it. They just don't. They play it straight, more or less.
Yeah.
The scene where he swats a fly with a cricket bat, that's just how Guy Ritchie would have done it.
Yeah.
He talks about angle of velocity, he talks about, impact and likely outcome. The only thing that's different is that it's a slightly ridiculous thing that he's doing with it.
And the fallout is that he cracks the glass and then the bees come out, but it feels like a delayed response to that. What would have been better is just a full like a full throttle, clumsy cricket bat through the glass immediately.
Or how about if one of his monologues got interrupted? You know, if he was just like, okay, angle of trajectory, speed of bat, and then and then Watson just comes in, and smashes it whilst he's doing it. He's like, just anything to subvert expectations rather than just lamely playing into them.
There's nothing subversive about it, and when you're doing this kind of thing, you've got to subvert it. You're really fucking misguided, and that's just
it's very odd.
Film is just super misguided all the way through.
It is. The fifth and final one is just vulgarity and gurning.
Yeah.
It's just very lazy humor. It's just not funny, that's the thing, and that makes it really painful to watch.
Yeah.
And it's also quite irritating. And when a film is irritating at its heart and you feel like it's lazy at its heart, it's very hard to then extend the goodwill to then accept the odd funny moment. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, there were some, and we did note them down. So, shall we?
Yeah, might as well.
Let's quickfire. Quickfire. The first moment that made me smile a little was one of the first lines, which is when Will Ferrell is stroking that thing, whatever that vegetable is. I don't know vegetables. When he's stroking the green pork, he calls it a succulent bitch.
Mm. Oh, you beautiful green succulent bitch.
That's right.
Yeah, it's well worded. Yeah. It's one of those moments that almost made me laugh, but it didn't quite make it out of my mouth.
That laugh died on my lips. Like a poison kiss.
That laugh died in my arms tonight. The newspaper intro, where they did the whole spinning to the front headline exposition thing. One of them was, crime happened, Holmes solves in 4 seconds.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah, just a little succession there of just, oh, it's Greenwich. Oh, it's Kelly MacDonald. Mm. Oh, it's Ralph Fiennes with a beard. Oh. Well, come on, I'm going to have some nice things to look at least.
Oh,
look at that beard.
There is that.
Look at that Greenwich. Look at that Kelly MacDonald. Look at it.
I hate them all. Oh, they managed to source real English Cockney children. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. One of them was Leanna Mormont.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Oh, Leanna Mormont. I thought that moment was unnecessarily terrifying. Oh, I like Watson. The bees get out, and next time we cut back to Watson, he already has his guns out and he's shooting at them. Mm. And just something about the idea of shooting wildly at bees. I mean, the whole joke
that's
of
a
it
good
is that Watson
sentence.
keeps... Yeah, it's good. And what John C. Reilly, I feel, is the better performer here of the two, which isn't saying much, but he does have really good comedy instincts. The odd shot of him just reaching for his gun at the mildest provocation was quite good. The idea of just a manic, trigger-happy Watson. There was something there.
Well, following on from that, when John C. Reilly and Rebecca Hall are doing the autopsy, whatever about that scene, but when they find out that they both like to listen to music whilst they're doing it, which again is just so shit and empty, John C. Reilly gives this wonderful little smile, and it conveys this portrait of a man who's pained and keeping PTSD barely under the surface of his skin. It was really sweet. Yeah. And then when in the next scene, when they're sort of giggling like kids about their weird flirty autopsy, the two of them giggling and like poking at each other was really nice.
Aww.
Yeah, I agree. John C. Reilly is a fantastic actor, so it's got to come out sometimes, right?
I will add, we have the thing again here. It's difficult when you've got really overproduced, high-budget comedy. Because, for example, there's a gag involving a ring. I can't quite remember it. All I've written down is that the multiple angles on the ring and the music changes make it not funny. And that's just such a common thread. Like, it's overproduced. Comedy has to feel a little bit spontaneous. Or just... having insert shots says we restaged this. This was written, it was thought about, it was scrutinized, and it was filmed carefully. And that's just an anathema to good comedy, I find. I like the line when he's trying to explain all the times that he's thrown up when seeing bodies before. He says that he shook hands with a prostitute. And I just, the notion of shaking hands with a prostitute amused me.
Okay.
That would be a thing a Victorian gentleman might do.
Doing it all the day, mate.
All the day.
So, some of their jobs, actually. The best Holmes moment for me, I think, was when he finally enters the courtroom and goes, "Stop this trial at once." And as he's walking, like swaggering to the front of the room, he takes off his hat and puts it on a pew, and then it very craply falls off to the floor.
That's good.
Behind him.
That is good.
Whilst he's already gone past it.
I hadn't noticed that. Yes, I mean, everybody knows that it's vaguely amusing that Sherlock Holmes took cocaine so sort of brazenly in the original Arthur Conan Doyle stories, particularly in The Sign of Four. Just because it wasn't a thing back then, it didn't have the same connotations it does now, so he can just reach for the cocaine bottle quite absent-mindedly. He actually fucking injects it in Sign of Four.
In Backdoor Bitches.
You drink it 3 times a day, Holmes. But yes, the line...
Would you like some heroin?
Just took me by surprise, and I quite liked it.
Yeah, I saw that one in the trailer, and this is one of those films where seeing it in a trailer really does ruin it for the film. This ain't fucking Green Book, mate.
I barely remember the trailer. All I could remember from the trailer was the selfie stick scene. I'm thinking, oh, that's what they're doing.
Oh, that's garbage. I hate this.
Bye. You staying, Peter Travers? Okay. Well, when you need help,
I'm going.
getting down from your seat. I've been walking out for the last 90 minutes.
I walked out in the first minute. It just took me the whole time to get out.
You ever walked out from a film, Peter Travers? Never seen one long enough. Anyway.
I mean, what made this movie watchable for me is having a cast that I've really liked in a lot of other movies.
Yeah.
And I do like Will Ferrell in a whole bunch of stuff. John C. Reilly in pretty much everything. Rebecca Hall in The Prestige, The Town.
Yeah, she's great. Christine, brilliant film.
Yeah, I don't know. There's always something comforting about having people that you love in a movie, and that prevented it from being mind-numbingly boring.
Yeah.
That and the fact that it was actually incredibly, unbelievably awful.
Yeah.
Both quite entertaining.
It was. Coming on to the John C. Reilly thing we mentioned earlier, I liked how committed his performance was during his dream about strip chess, where he's giving a lot of sauce to that performance that I quite enjoyed.
Oh, cool.
But also, those fighting kids were really good. In a pub, they see a couple of kids fighting. They're really good. They're giving like the Raid style energy to their fight choreography. I think one of them might have been Eddie Reese Jr.
One of them might have been Gareth Evans.
One of them might have been Eddie Reese Jr. They both are. He's a real egomaniac.
My next good thing is a terribly unfunny moment where they're going through the different euphemisms for masturbating.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're going through different euphemisms which don't exist, and none of them are funny or well thought through. And when they finally get it, someone from the crowd just goes,
Thank you.
Oh, well, that's weirdly... it's just the word wanker, isn't it, that we enjoy, because my next one is Fiennes, when he is exposed as being just a bloke called Musgrave.
Yeah.
Says,
I don't know who it is, I swear, I'm just a simple wanker.
I'm but a simple wanker is a wonderful thing to say. A wonderful opening gambit. It's the, a wanker over the top of a mumbling crowd.
A good vulgarity coming out of a mumbling crowd is always a great thing.
I mean, that's comedy
Father
genius.
Ted sort of just fucking hell.
Yeah. At Holmes' birthday party, the Queen says, "Thank you, Sherlock Holmes," and John C. Reilly grabs her hand again. He has this thing for the Queen, and he very quietly, craply reaches for her hand, and she stops talking and looks down at them, and he like sadly lets go before she continues with her line. It's a very sweet, awkward bit of comedy.
My next two things are Reilly's. I liked his Queen voice when he needs to keep the guards at the door and so impersonates the Queen.
Yes, I'm quite fine. My lover John Watson will take good care of me.
Again, it's the commitment he brought to it. And I also like him... When that song started, I just thought, fuck me, this is awful. And then his singing part started, and I was like, well, it's still not funny, but...
He's a good singer.
What a lovely man.
What is this strange sensation?
Where did I go wrong?
Why am I a sobbing, trembling
Soon my neck will snap in half,
and yet I know somehow,
And
if
yes,
he could hear
right now,
I would still forgive him.
more or less.
I loved his line. I think it's during the drunk telegramming scene, which again would have been a great idea if it had been a 2-second long scene. And I think it's his delivery of,
"Come and get them while they're hot."
Oh, okay, the death trap gear thing was pretty horrific, but again, they just couldn't be bothered to have him get further into it. This was 2 gears that Watson was strapped to.
Yeah.
And the way it was positioned, his head was about to be fed into the gears.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty horrifying, and if it had gotten to the point where it was just about to happen, and maybe the gear was just about his head when he gets free, when he gets freed, that would have been horrible, but they couldn't be bothered.
That's a surprise. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I really like Lauren Lapkus as Millicent. She had some good face work going on. And she was the supposed idiot who Holmes was falling in love with. Some of the best physical comedy in the film, I think. She did some good work around licking a lollipop and handing Will Ferrell a picture of a sad cat.
That was good, I remember that.
She was quite charming. I enjoyed that.
Cool. I'm out.
Okay, 3 more, so I'll just do them real quick. Cool. When they're having the boxing match, and they have the ring girl who walks around with round 1. She's all dressed up in a corset, and Will Ferrell goes, "What is she doing? It's 6 a.m. I really enjoy Steve Coogan's delivery of,
No, I've literally been stabbed in the back.
as he falls over the ropes.
You can't beat Coogan.
You cannot beat Coogan.
You cannot drain him of the comedy juice, no matter how hard you squeeze.
Many have tried, and they cough it up, and then we were born.
It's horrible watching the tour with me. Him saying, actually, I'm actually really fulfilled by my entire life. Mental.
Pipe dreams. Also, and then finally, just the fucking line delivered by one of the companions in the companion room in that gentleman's club that they go to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, where Hugh Laurie's in the film. For God's sake.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, Watson is led into this companion's room because he's not smart enough to be in with all the big boys.
Yeah.
And some dude just looks up at him as he enters and says, "Balloons are happy, but they're not alive," as a greeting.
Yeah, I remember that.
It made me laugh. It's a
Not
subversive
me.
line.
I just felt the empty sad. My last good thing is I really like Kelly MacDonald in general, and it was nice to know that her character wasn't just some garbage punchline about sleeping with various literary figures. And once she becomes a villain, it looks like she's actually might be having some fun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to do this, Dr. Watson. I'm gonna crush your head. There's gonna be brains everywhere, and I'll no be cleaning up after.
I know you're threatening me, but I can't understand a word you're saying.
She became quite a cool presence to watch when she just became an absolute cackling villain. And yeah, I liked it. And some of the odd lines, which I'll throw in here, made me smile.
Didn't like her until then.
Well, she had nothing until then. She was just she was always so sad and awkward looking, which I guess is part of her whole I'm actually secretly a villain, just pretending to do all this stuff that's lower than me angle. But her whole thing was she would come in, turns out she'd been having sex with someone and that she was ashamed. She'd look sad as she was chastised, and then she'd leave the scene. What is that?
No idea, mate. It's all just part of the same bullshit. We're lucky we felt anything.
Holmes and Watson. All right, did we get anything from the OG team?
Oh, well, when I asked the OG team about the OG team, fuck everything. Christopher Bond replied to say, "Oh no!" And then Blokebusters got in touch on Facebook and said it got a lot of people work, I guess. So rousing support.
I'd sooner they be unemployed
for Holmes and Watson.
This is the kind of bullshit the Tories use to conflate the unemployment state figures. It's like lowest unemployment in years. Yeah, but some of them made Holmes and Watson. What say you to that, May?
On the other end, the old-style communists. No one's unemployed. Yeah, but you've got 58,000 men digging a hole outside of Holmes and Watson.
Look where the free market economy's gotten us. Change is the only way. Go on, guys. Get in the hole. Was there anything else?
No, thanks, OG team.
I don't have anything written down anyway. Let's do the one better thing. The one better thing. My one better thing is any of the other sort of movies that came out in 2018 that revolve around John C. Reilly having a two-hander with someone. So you've got The Sisters Brothers, where he's in there with Joaquin Phoenix. And you've got Stan and Ollie, where he's in there with the Steve Coogan. And you've got Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is pretty much a two-hander with him and the Sarah Silverman character. And it was this wonderful period. They all came out at the end of last year, and it was just this fabulous thing of these great movies coming out with John C. Reilly. And I saw him at the London Film Festival in the premiere of The Sisters Brothers. Suddenly the compere was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John C. Reilly." And the audience went fucking crazy.
Wow.
Like, I saw a lot of celebrities at the London Film Festival, but that was a really powerful reaction to John C. Reilly. It was very odd.
Oh, man.
He had a little hat and a waistcoat, and he looked like he could do you if he had to, if he wanted to. But he wouldn't, because he's lovely.
He does though later, eventually.
We all get round to Reilly. I really like Reilly. I think he's a really generous performer. I think he affords his screen partners a lot of opportunities to do their thing, whilst also subtly being the sort of beating heart of a lot of the films he's been in. And any one of those three films that I mentioned will be a really rewarding experience for you to check out, not least because of Reilly's performances. I think of Stan and Ollie. Do you remember the bit where he's bet on a horse, I think? And he's lost, so he tears up the paper and he throws it at the floor, and then he notices there were some kids watching him. And so he transitions out of his ill temper into a bit of business.
Oh yeah,
to make the kids laugh.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Beautiful, it is, and it's just a beautiful little moment. And he does so much of that. He's wonderful. So yeah, don't watch this, and don't be thinking that John C. Reilly can't break your heart, because he can, and your face.
And he already has.
And he has.
And you just don't know about it yet.
Deal with it.
Oh, well, for me, thinking of anachronistic or parodic comedy adaptations, Galaxy Quest and Austin Powers come to mind. Yeah. They satirise the genre and work on meta levels as well. Galaxy Quest starring Tim Allen, Alan Rickman, Sigourney Weaver, Sam Rockwell, and a bunch of other people. Austin Powers obviously starring serial killer Michael Myers. It's either gentle teasing of the genre or it's looking at dated "What are you doing?"
Just pulling a face. Pulling a vaguely Steve Coogan-esque surprised face.
It's deeply troubling and it feels like you're looking right inside me. Either it's gentle teasing, either it's gentle teasing of the genre, or it's looking at dated tropes in a then modern light, as well as the casually misogynistic old school Bonds and how well you would expect that to go down today. You know, they display knowledge of and love for their targets, and they work because they're done with this in mind. There's a little bit of intelligence, which apparently does go a long way, if Holmes and Watson is anything to go by, and an actual storyline for you to follow. Yeah,
all involved in, all curious about. Where's it going to go next? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
To Mr. Austin Powers.
Yeah. Man of Mystery.
Who's to say? He's an international man of mystery, actually, is his full title.
Not just
Tweet.
Man of Mystery of Swindon or something.
Do you know who's a really underrated performer in those Austin Powers movies? The first two, anyway. Mm-hmm. I really like Michael York. He plays Basil Exposition, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Michael York I really love. He was in Logan's Run, and he was in a really excellent Three Musketeers adaptation in the 1970s.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I like him a lot as Basil. Just, I suggest you don't worry about it, Austin. In fact, that goes for you too at home.
Yes. Yeah, it's great. It's got a really cool supporting cast. I really love Rob Lowe in those movies.
Yeah, fuck, I forgot about Rob Lowe. It's number two.
Yeah.
What is he?
Yeah, number 2. He's young number 2.
That's right. And
number 2, you look so healthy and youthful.
And you've got Seth Green. Oh, those are very funny. I don't remember liking Goldmember very much, but maybe I need to give that another go.
No, it's pretty lazy compared to the other two.
Yeah.
And Beyonce doesn't really do it for me in that movie.
Do it in what
or
sense?
Michael Caine, in fact.
You saying that this film is bad because the female performer did not sexually arouse you?
No, not at all. That wasn't the thing I was saying.
Oh, you meant do it for you in a spiritual sense.
In a filmic sense. But what you mean? I didn't find her attractive. Subversive.
That Heather Graham though. Michael Caine did it for me.
A lot of things wrong with that one, but the first two I think are great. So
a bunch of great.
And the first one or two have Will Ferrell in.
Oh, does he play the guy who gets
beginning to smell a lot like almonds?
Yes, I remember that. That's the second one.
Yeah, Mustafa. That's
Which one has Tom Arnold in it? Where he's in the next toilet cubicle, and someone tries to kill Austin Powers, and he thinks he's just having a particularly tricky shit.
Oh,
who does number 2 work for? That's right, you show that turd who's boss.
I can't remember, actually.
Holy shit, mister, what did you eat?
See, there are good misunderstandings, right? That's a comedy misunderstanding, and they really did it to death. They did it to death by the end of the third one, but Holmes and Watson is full of these misunderstandings. That they have no setup whatsoever. There's no thought that goes into any single one of them. It's just, it's the same as Grown-Ups in that sense. It's, wouldn't it be funny if it looked like shit was coming out, like ice cream was coming out of my butt, and it looks like shit.
Fuck off.
It's at the same level for me. It's the same fucking level. It's just Grown-Ups was really mean and unpleasant to watch.
Yeah, this was less
so it's not
mean.
as bad as that, but
yeah. Hey everyone,
it wasn't
good
mean.
Thing about this. Who would like this movie? Who would like this movie? I think it's less spiteful. It doesn't have a mean bone in it. It's just crap and lazy. That's the thing. And if that gets to you, then that's gonna bother you.
If the fact that it's crap is gonna get to you, then that is gonna bother you.
Look, if you don't mind that it's crap, I think you might like this one. All right. Are we out of segments?
We're done. We're finally done.
Ridiculous. The one better thing. Thank you for listening to One Good Thing, you pricks.
Thanks so. Sorry?
I just said you pricks.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, let me try again. Thanks for listening to One Good Thing, you pricks.
Oh, nice. Okay. Thanks everyone so much. If you want to get in touch, you can do so on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at ogtpod. Do check us out on all 3 platforms and any other you can think of in your special dreams, because we do put the call out for the OG team on all of them, even on the backs of your glasses, eyelids and butts. So keep checking those mirrors.
Keep checking those butts. I see you, baby. Checking that butt with your equipment.
OG team. You can find us on Podbean, YouTube, Stitcher and iTunes and all good pod-catching apps.
Just the good ones, though.
Traps.
The shit ones? We're not on the shit ones.
Yeah.
Only on the good ones.
We're not on the shit one. You know which one that is.
I think we all know.
That one. You listening to that right now, this message is just for you.
Look, check your pockets full of shit. Oh! How did it pause do me like this?
That's how you know. Pockets full of shit. Wrong podcast app is the proverb. Is the ancient Chinese proverb. Confucius say. Confucius also say, check us out on alotofgreen.com.au for us and more good Australian content.
Yay.
We're proud members.
Thanks.
Hooray.
A lot of
Thanks.
green. We got a lot of green. And they got a lot of green. We got a lot of us now. And we're all there.
Yeah.
So you can go check it out.
Poor stupid suckers.
I'm Stupid Sucker.
I'm Stupid Sucker. Oh.
I'm Mark Stupid Sucker. And remember, the one thing about Holmes and Watson is John C. Kelly MacDonald.